Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this seminar. And please be seated. My name is Galih Gesang, and I will be your MC for this seminar. Welcome to the seminar of social language codes reflected in pre and post-truth culture. Today's sequence of events are: first, general introduction; two, love and money analysis; three, a walk in the hood analysis; 4. Comparison and reflection; and 5. Closing. Now, let's move to the first sequence of events, which is general introduction. A.C. Grayling, public thinker, master of the New College of the Humanities, said that the world changed after 2008. Politics since the financial crash has been shaped by a toxic growth in income inequality. So post-truth culture refers to the more emotionally charged whilst avoiding the main issue. Then what comes before post-truth? Well, according to European Association for the Study of Science and Technology, or IS for short, to call the political moment post-truth implies a recent past governed primarily by something called truth. This should immediately conjure some skepticism, but perhaps it isn't that far-fetched. At the very least, decades following the fall of the Cold War brought us a series of promises about governance based on empirical knowledge. Then what about social language codes? Social language codes are a theory of Basil Bernstein's that states language has two codes, elaborated and restricted. Basil Bernstein first introduced this theory to teach his students about language. Bernstein laments the fact that formal education at the time didn't teach students about this. Aside from that, a study by X Language explains that the construct of elaborated and restricted language codes was introduced by Basil Bernstein in 1971 as a way of accounting for the relatively poor performance of working-class pupils on language-based subjects, when they were achieving as well as their middle-class counterparts on mathematical topics. Interestingly, it was stimulated directly by his experience of teaching in further education. It is frequently misunderstood, largely because of Bernstein's unfortunate choice of labels. The restricted code does not refer to restricted vocabulary, and the elaborated code does not refer to flowery use of language. There is an issue of linguistic impoverishment in the educational problems of some pupils. But Bernstein is not on the whole concerned with such extreme cases. One of Bernstein's research studies involved showing a group of children a strip cartoon recording their account of what it depicted like. Some of them said, "They're playing football, and he kicks it and it goes through there. It breaks the window and they're looking at it. And he comes out." While others said, "Three birds are playing football and one kicks the ball, and it goes through the window and the ball breaks the window." As Bernstein points out, the first account makes good sense if you have the strip cartoon even in front of you, but means much less without it. This is an example of restricted code. The second can stand on its own and is an example of elaborated code. The essence of the distinction is in what the language is suited for. The restricted code works better than the elaborated code for situations in which there is a great deal of shared and taken for granted knowledge in the group of speakers. It is economical and rich, conveying a vast amount of meaning with a few words, each of which has a complex set of connotation and acts like an index, pointing the hearer to a lot more information which remains unsaid. A restricted code carries a social message of inclusion, of implicitly acknowledging that the person addressed is one of us. It takes one from within a family or a friendship group and another with the use of occupational jargon within a work group. Its essential feature is that it works within and is tuned to a restricted community. Everyone uses restricted code communication some of the time. It would be a very peculiar and cold family which did not have its own language. But about now? Has formal education advanced enough that it could teach what Bernstein used to criticize? We'll be seeing that in our next event of script analysis by Rozaan AG and Ghali Taqi. Rozaan, take it away.
Hello everyone, I am Rozaan AG and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to deliver of some of our discussion material in this seminar. And thank you everyone for coming. And today I would like to talk about social language codes in post-truth culture based on play Love and Money by Dennis Ghali. First of all, let's start with the writer's biography. Dennis Ghali, who was born in 1970, is a British writer for film, television and theatre. He is perhaps best known for co-writing BBC Three sitcom pulling with actress Sharon Horgan. Ghali grew up in Barnet, North London, in an Irish family and was brought up a Catholic. Ghali, one of 5 children, left school at 16 to work in Sainsbury's. While working in supermarkets, he discovered theatre when he joined a local youth group, the Barnet Drama Centre. He took a degree in drama and theatre arts when he was 30 and received a first from Goldsmiths College in London. Ghali wrote his first play debut when he was 30. He says he wrote it imagining that he'd give himself a part, staged at Theatre 503 in 2003. He transferred the next year to Battersea Arts Centre. It was well received and he went on to write the controversially titled Osama the Hero, which was produced by Hampstead Theatre, beginning a long-running relationship with the theatre that he would return to often. After the end, he wrote in 2005 and produced by Pain's Blow in his first out of London production, though it later came to the Bus Theatre before going on a tour of the UK and internationally in 2006. Ghali admittedly likes to write about topical themes of what is happening at the time, which is obvious in many of his plays. Love and Money, arguably one of his most famous plays, was staged at the Royal Exchange, Manchester, and then at the Young Vic in 2006. Returning to theatre and the Hampstead Theatre in 2007, his fake verbatim play Taking Care of Baby was another success for both writer and the theatre. Love and Money by Dennis Ghali is a play about a man named David who emailing a French lady whom he has met and hopes to begin a relationship with. She repeatedly questioned him over his wife's death, until he reluctantly reveals that she tried to commit suicide. They were both suffering from crushing debt, so when he found her having taken an overdose, he did not help but decided to wait for the pills to work. When he realized that they were taking too long, he feeds his unconscious wife vodka so as to kill her. The lady is horrified and refuses to reply David. The play goes back several months where David's wife, Jess's parents, describe their anger when an old man pays for a large monument to his dead wife to be constructed in the graveyard. They feel that it overshadows their daughter's grave and they cannot afford a better tribute to her. So, Jess's father destroys the statue. Time goes back to before Jess's death and David is forced to take a job. He is overqualified for his novice friends. There is a surreal scene where characters are denoted only by numbers and examine the nature of death and money. Further back in the relationship between Jess and David, and the strain is beginning to show. David comes to see Jess in hospital who has just witnessed a bad assault when she was out shopping. David's comfort turns to anger as he realizes she was out buying again. The play ends with a long monologue from Jess who is overjoyed at having been proposed to. The speech is very philosophical contrast to the materialistic chatter of before, however the future is foreshadowed as Jess claims that now she is going to be married, she would like to be a little bit more like the people in the magazines. The characters in the play is David, Mother, Father, Val, Paul, Jess, Duncan, Debbie, and Doctor. The themes of the play are love, comedy, and materialism. And the language codes in the play, most of them are restricted code. Restricted code is less formal with shorter phrases interjected into the middle or end of a thought to confirm understanding. For example, like from the dialogue from the father, he says, yes, yes, 19 months and it's not enough. Or the dialogue from Jess, do you know what I mean? And that's not accident, that's just luck, you know? And the dialogue from Mother, and he was there every day, wasn't he? Or from Duncan, you know where I am? There are also some elaborated quotes in the play. Elaborated quotes have a longer, more complicated sentence structure that uses uncommon words and thoughts. Elaborated code spells everything out, not because it is better, but because it is necessary so that everyone can understand it. It has to elaborate because the circumstances do not allow speakers to condense, such as in the dialogue from Jess that says, I'm thinking about becoming a Buddhist because I am attracted to its philosophies of acceptance, of being in the moment, on the idea of being on a journey and its attraction to the universal, but I can't decide if it's the right thing to do because on the one hand David Lynch is a Buddhist, but on the other so is Richard Gere. Or maybe from the Duncan's dialogue that says, well, if you did have its lifestyle, it would cost you more than the average yearly earnings of the majority of the population of Eritrea. It's a sick word. I don't blame her. I wouldn't touch me if I didn't have to. We had a boy once, leukemia.
January 23rd. I came home and I found her lying on the bed. She had taken we were test driving this Audi. It was silver. Had ABS brakes, climate control, satellite navigation, and a roll bar as standard. Had these little push-out trays for your drinks and things. A lovely car. I loved it. Really held the road. Well, the thing was, the guy who was doing the test drive, you could just tell that he was thinking, you fucking wasted my time. But the thing was, I could afford it, but I felt so good, that car, you know. Felt like I'd earned that car after all the things I've been through, the things I've done. I felt like that car was my right, you know. But we had debts, big debts. My wife had debts. You see, he could see that I couldn't afford the car. You know, you understand? It was visible on me. He could see it on me. So when I came home and I saw her lying there, I thought, I'll be able to afford that car now.
Thank you, Rozaan AG, for the script analysis of Love and Money by Dennis Kelly. Now we will move on to the second script analysis by Ghali Taqi. If you please.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to deliver some of our discussion material in this seminar. Without any further delay, I would like to begin our discussions and talk about social language codes in church culture based on play by Lee Blessing, Walk in the Woods. So let me first start with the writer's introductions to you. Lee Norton Blessing, or famously known as Lee Blessing, is an American playwright who was born in October 4 in 1949. He is best known for his 1988 work, A Walk in the Woods. Blessing was born in Minneapolis and graduated from Minnetonka High School in 1967. He began his college education at the University of Minnesota, Minneapolis, but later transferred to Reed College in Oregon, where he earned a Bachelor Academy in English in 1971. After Blessing earned his degree, his parents offered the young graduate to choose between a used car or a trip to Russia. Blessing chose Russia, where he found inspiration to write his best-known work, the award-winning Walk in the Woods. However, A Walk in the Woods was not Blessing's first work. His first work was The Authentic Life of Billy the Kid, which later led him to win several awards for it. For his most famous work, A Walk in the Woods, Blessing got nominated for Tony Award and Pulitzer Award. Even though he won neither of them, later it gets adapted for television. Blessing went on, got several nominations and won several awards through his career, both for his classic and most recent works as a playwright. Blessing married twice in his life. His first marriage was in 1989 with Jane Blake, and now he is currently married to fellow playwright and screenwriter. Walk in the Woods is the story about where two superpower armed negotiators, a Russian and an American, meet informally after long frustrating hours at the bargaining table. The Russian, Andrei Botvinnik, is a seasoned veteran who has mastered the Soviet heartland, is urban and humorous, but at the same time profoundly cynical about what the current session can accomplish. His young counterpart, John Honeyman, is a newcomer to the arms control talks, is a bit stuffy and pedantic, but also fervently idealistic about what can and must be achieved through perseverance and honest bargaining. They continue the informal meeting as the talks drag on and the seasons change, and through their absorbing and revealing conversations, we become aware both of the deepening understanding between these two wise and decent men, and also the profound frustration that they increasingly feel. In the end, when Bob Finnick announced that he is leaving his post, Honeyman is genuinely regretful, not only because of the friendship that has grown between them, but also because he knows that he must now confront again the deep-seated mistrust and misconceptions which a new man will bring with him, and that the elemental differences in their two systems of government will continue to exacerbate as long as the real power rests in the hands of those burdened by the bitterness of the past. Before we start to analyze the social language codes in the Walks in the Woods script, here's some additional information about Lee Blessing's play A Walk in the Woods. The theme is drama political. The plot is chronological plot. The characters are Andrei Botvinnik, who are friendly and enjoys American culture, and John Honeyman, who are formal and idealistic. The set of plays is at Wood above Geneva, Switzerland, and the ratios of realistic and elaborated codes and a Walk in the Woods play are almost equal, but realistic codes are slightly being used more rather than the elaborated codes. Now we are going to analyze the social language codes in Lee Blessing's A Walk in the Woods. First, the restricted code. As what my friend Rozaan said in previous explanations, restricted codes is less formal compared to elaborated code. It is spoken between close friends and family or insiders. Here are the examples of restricted code from A Walk in the Woods. First, Honeyman. Making friends is a fine thing, but not on someone else's time, so to speak. Do you follow me? Second, Honeyman. I didn't have to come here, you know. Third, Bavinik. I see. Well, who knows? Fourth, Bavinik. So you think we will agree, eh? Eventually? And now for the elaborated code. Elaborated code can stand on its own. The elaborated code spells everything out because it is necessary so that everyone can understand it. It is complete and full of detail. Here are the examples of elaborated code from A Walk in the Woods. First, Vanik. Andrushka, if you like. Perhaps I could call you Joan. Second, Honeyman. John would be fine. Andre, I appreciate your desire to become friends. Indeed, in many of my former negotiations, I did become friends with those on the other side, after a successful settlement, not before. In the last example, Honeyman. Mr. McIntyre wasn't sure if you were in complete control of the conversational gambits. He wondered if they weren't genuine liabilities that would grow worse with time and destroy your effectiveness.
I'm going. No, John, listen, just listen. Let me explain, then we can go. You're being ridiculous. No, not if you listen. Yeah. Switzerland has two things only: mountains and peace. Thousands of mountains, centuries of peace. Peaceful lakes, peaceful trees, peaceful people. Can't invade it, there's too many mountains. Besides, there's nothing here but trees and Swiss people. So what does mankind use Switzerland for? Peace conferences. But then what happens? We sit across the table and we look very grave and talk and debate and argue about imminent world destruction. Then we go outside, we leave the table, go outside, and what do we see? Rich, happy, peaceful people, unarmed buildings, no barricades, no rifles, not even littering. Suddenly things look better. So why should we make a treaty now? We'll wait. I tell you, my friend, the real problem is Switzerland itself.
Do you always joke about these matters?
Who's joking? Now, we should put the table at the bottom of a missile silo and then we would negotiate. I seriously suggested this to my superiors.
Well, what did they say?
They said to stop joking.
Thank you, Rozaan and Ghali. Now we move on to the comparison and reflection of both script with Basil's theory of social language codes. While at first glance these two scripts might not be that different, but these two scripts actually show a huge difference in plot. What does it have to do with social language codes? Well, if you've read or know of the first script, Love and Money, you'd know that the story starts with the main character telling his story, meaning the script started after the conflict had happened and then the story behind the conflict unfolds itself at the later parts. Meanwhile, the second script tells a story chronologically. In some way, this is similar to how Basil's language codes apply. especially the restricted ones. From Rozaan's explanation, we knew that we wouldn't be able to understand examples of restricted language codes without belonging to a specific group of people or knowing the context of the matter being talked about. Well, to understand the story of love and money, we'd also need to read the full script, as we wouldn't be able to understand what the story is about or how it came to be. Well, the elaborated language codes are very similar to the second script too. Elaborated language codes are language codes that we are familiar with no matter the boundary between groups of people or culture. It can also be called as the more formal forms of language, ones that most people are familiar with. And in the exact same way, the second script, which tells a story chronologically, is more easily understood by the readers because of familiarity, formality, and completeness of context. While at first glance these two scripts might not be different, they are actually different. That will be all that this seminar has to offer. We express our deepest apology for any and all mistakes we might have made throughout the seminar. And thank you for all the participation and attention that you have given. As the MC of this seminar, I formally announce that the seminar is now over. Thank you.